what you share.
Well, no, I share everything. I mean, Clay, I share everything. Everything. Like, I'm a complete open book. This one particular system, though, I've only learned from doing this, teaching these classes for so many years, that most of you, I want to say all, but there is a small handful of people that I do know that actually have committed to this system and have grown their business as a result of it, which is crazy because now you're like sitting here having this internal reflection moment of like, am I going to be that person? Am I going to do it? Am I not going to do it? You know? And you know, what is like committing to doing something if you know that it works and the numbers work? What does committing mean? Does it mean you do it for 3 to 6 months and then you realize that, you know, Zillow zip code 84084 just opened up, so you're going to go spend some money over there? Right? Or does it mean, you know, you're going to go from using this system to trying FSBOs for a couple of months and then trying some expires for a couple of months and then what's next on the list, you know? But doesn't that seem like real estate in a nutshell? Have you guys found this like huge, you know, attraction to sort of the magic pill, the golden ticket, like where you're doing something, and somebody to your left says, hey, this is what I'm doing, and you're like, damn, that's exactly what I want to do, you know, and then so you left that, you know, by the wayside, and then you carried on. Is anybody in here guilty of what I'm talking about? One honest person in the room. All right.
I didn't want to admit it, okay.
Between the two of you guys, you count as one. So 2 honest people in the entire freaking room. Okay, well, if what I'm saying makes no sense to you, it just means you haven't been in real estate long enough. Give it some time and you're going to start realizing that what I'm saying is true. So today what I wanted to do is I wanted to teach you about one specific system that I implemented very early on in my Keller Williams career that has literally taken my business to the next level. It has allowed me to walk away from the business. I spend now 1.5 days a week working on my business. We do over 300 transactions a year. I'm very happy with that number. I'm very happy that I have a team that's basically now growing it, you know, without my day-to-day input because I trusted the system and followed the system, right? But this very first thing that I'm going to talk to you about is the one thing that I did that changed my life. But before we talk about it, I want to show you a really quick video that demonstrates what I just talked about. So,
Make sure it's on HD.
it's fun to watch without sound. I'm not technical, so I'll let those guys handle it. And while we're waiting for this to get up, has anybody in here, just be honest, call yourself out, not read the MREA book yet? Okay, few people haven't read the MREA book. That's going to be my number one suggestion, you know, for you is read that book. That book is exactly what I've done to get to where I'm at business-wise. Today we're going to be talking primarily about pages 132 to 148 in that book, which I've kind of titled up there for you, the 8x8 and 33, now 36 touch. In the book, they call it Marketing to Your HAVNet Database. So just write that part down. The MRE book's a great read from cover to cover one time. After that, it's intense, and so it becomes more of a manual. Where am I in my business? Where do I want to go? And you flip back and you find it in the book and you plug into it. And, I'm truly living proof that whatever that book tells you is true. Because I haven't done anything creative at all. I can play piano, but that's it. That's pretty good. No, that's all right.
I did not know that about you, Josh.
You didn't know? Oh, whatever. All right, so are we on?
I want you to imagine that your life force is made up of strings. When you want to accomplish something, attain something, do something, you simply send out one of your strings, and then your life is automatically pulled towards that. So imagine that there are two motivated people who both realize this truth. One individual says, I'm going to focus on one thing at a time and see how that works for me. And immediately and predictably, his life begins to move towards it. Now, the other individual says, I also want to do a lot of things and accomplish a lot of things, and I just need to get after all of it right now. So he sends out 6 different strings at one time, and immediately and predictably starts moving towards each of his desires. But he doesn't understand he is going to be denied. Why? Because his strings are pulling him in different directions. And he's going to reach a point where he simply can't get any closer. The competing tensions will simply slow him down. What about the other individual? Well, he ultimately gets pulled all the way to whatever he wants. He attains it, then he immediately picks another one and attains that. And then he picks another one and attains that. You see, the challenge we each have is recognizing this simple truth. We can achieve mastery sequentially, but not simultaneously. Tap into the transformative power of clarity by focusing on what matters most.
It's another outstanding book, but does that not illustrate the story of our realtor lifestyles? You know, where we're trying to go from one thing to another thing, and I think here they call them like shiny objects, right? We just go from one shiny object to another. The truth is, any one thing, you know, that you commit to in real estate can and will work for you, right? Your one thing in real estate is very different than mine, isn't it, Candace? Right? And is yours very good for you? It works really well, right? And how committed are you to that one thing? Yeah, and you have been
12 years.
Yeah, 12 years of that, 100%, right? And so the truth of the matter is, you can have more than one thing work in business, but it's very difficult to do more than one thing at one time. And that's what Gary Keller was saying. Success is sequential, Clay, it's not simultaneous. Yeah. So the One Thing book, anybody in here read the One Thing book? All right. Oh, wow, good. Ooh, good majority of you guys. Great book, obviously, keep you on track, the science of success, honestly. So I wanted to just kind of illustrate that because, again, most of you guys in this room aren't going to do what I'm going to teach you how to do today, which is super unfortunate because I think all of you guys are in this room to have a life worth living, right? Does anybody in this room also have a goal to get to a 7th level real estate business, right? Oh, good, good. So we have a few of us. And that's not for everybody. I'm just kind of curious who those folks are, just so I know. Okay, so what do we know about this marketing to a have-met database? I want to share some numbers with you before we dig into how to put this thing together and make it work for you. In the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book, they talk about mind share. So when you think of a real estate professional, how many names would come into your mind? A better example of that, probably not many for a consumer. For you guys, it's like, well, everybody in this room, but a consumer can only think of one or maybe two. And there are studies that have been shown that real estate, people that need to either buy or sell real estate will either interview one and then sometimes interview 2 agents for the job of helping them out. Now our goal is to have mind share, to be the person they think about when they think about real estate. And the system that we're going to put together today is exactly what we use to make that happen. And so a good demonstration of mind share works a lot like this. Candace, when you think of soft drinks, you think of and there you go. And then you're going to have to start thinking pretty hard to get to the next one, right? And then Clay, when you think of shoes, you think of
Nike
and
Reebok.
Boom. Same 2 answers every single time. The reason why I ask you about shoes is because I learned when I ask women about shoes, they're like, what? This? Never asking women about shoes again, that's dumb. But the example I just gave you is how quickly you could come up with 1 or 2, but then how much you'd actually have to think deeper in your brain. You know, brain's a powerful thing. You got, you know, tens of thousands of messages, you know, coming through that thing every single day. And so the thing that you want to do is stand out from all of the noise and be the person that they think about when they do real estate. So in the MREA book, they talk about this particular system of the 8x8 and 33 touch. They talk about this particular system generating a 12 and 2 return. which I get that now, but I didn't get it really at the time, because I'm like, I don't know if I want to trust this book, because they're bad at math. I mean, 12 and 2 return, that's not the lowest common denominator, and I'm no math whiz, but I was like, this is 6 and 1, you know, and it really is 6 and 1, but I understand now why they...
Some more markers I guess.
Oh, God bless you. I understand now why they said it was a 12 and 2 rate of return, because they're going to say one of these is going to be referred and one of them is going to be direct. And that was pretty informational for me to understand. Actually, this is what I did here. So what they're saying is, for every 12 people you add to this, you know, system that I'm going to teach you up here, for every 12 people you add, you're going to do 2 transactions per year. So can we do the math on what that actually means for you guys? So what is the average sale price in Salt Lake County right now? Okay. We'll go to 285. And what's an average commission rate? Is it 3%? Is it 2.9? Is it 2.8? Is it 2.89? What is it?
Well, since it's Salt Lake County, it's probably closer to 3%.
Okay. Should I just use my team's average commission? So it's 2.89%. So can somebody give me the math on this, what that number looks like?
It is $8,236.50.
Okay, so $8,236 per transaction. Seems like a pretty good deal. 6 and 1 return. So for every 6 people that I market to, you know, over the course of a year and communicate to, I'm going to generate that kind of dollar volume. So let's just put this into real world numbers. What's your name?
Andrew.
Andrew. Nice to meet you. How many people are in your sphere of influence?
374.
374. Okay. So can you take 374 and divide that by 6 for me?
62.3.
So can you just take 8236 times 62? Right?
510. 632.
510,632. So just looking at your current snapshot of who you know, then this would be my expected rate of return off of my database. Now, the first probably 9 years that I ran an 8x8 33 touch system, we'll get to this, you guys. The first 9 years, I got a 6 and 1. Actually, I got a better than 6 and 1 return. I was getting like 5 point whatever rate of return. Like, this is magic, right? The book actually was calling it like it was. As I began, you know, as my huge database grew and I began hiring other people that had to call my database because I couldn't call them all the time and I had all the other things going, that number slowly dwindled to last year where it was like a 19 to 1 rate of return. But it still turned out 144 transactions for 1.1 million in GCI, which is still a pretty impressive number. But before I had other people dipping their hands in my SOI pot, I was getting, let's just call it a 6 and 1 return. Is everybody cool with what I'm telling you right now?
Yep.
Okay. Yep. Because I want you to walk out of here and put this thing together so you guys can have this for yourself. Because what I'm telling you is true, 100%. And I think all of you guys are looking to have at least an income looking like that on a yearly basis, right? Can you live on it? I hope so too, man, because if not, wow. Yeah. So, $510,632, and all you got to do is put them into basically a 33 touch marketing system, which means that you're going to talk to them 4 times a year. You can talk to them more than that, but no less than 4 times a year. So if I were to take your database and run through that, this is what I would expect to get after about 12 to 18 months, as long as I did exactly what I'm going to teach you how to do here, right? So if I hired you on my team and said, look, I'll pay you $250,000 a year, which is just about half that number, Would you want to be a part of that team for 250 grand a year?
Honestly, where I am right now, I
Yeah.
wouldn't, because I know that that's real.
Okay, well, you don't yet because you haven't done it.
You're right.
So you don't.
No, you're right, but
Yeah.
that's where we're headed.
But if I were to hire you,
Yes.
or who in this room right now would be cool working for $250,000 a year? Okay, that's honestly.
Yeah.
All right, good, because I would too, by the way. Like, $250,000 a year, you can do a lot with that. Now, I'm gonna ask that you make 4 phone calls a year, or I'll fire you. Are you cool with that? 4 phone calls a year to each person in that 374, right? Do the math. How many phone calls are we talking about? 374 times 4?
1496.
3,496. And then let's just take that and divide it by 240. That's the amount of working days per year.
6.23.
Okay, so here's the deal, guys. You're gonna have to make 6.23 calls per day, working day, to people that you already know. Are you cool with that? $250,000 a year. Is anybody else in this room looking to be on a team that has an SOI that big? Because I'll hire you right now. Because I'm gonna market to them and you're gonna make the phone calls. And I'll pay you that much money, but just know how much money I'm making off of you. That's how well I know the system, right? And that's how much I trust that the system works. Not because, I read it, but because this is the guy that's been doing it for 12 consecutive years nonstop, right? I know the system works when you work the system. So is there anybody in here who does not or will not make 4 phone calls a year to their SOI? Because this class is not going to be for you. Go ahead and raise your hand. Now's a good time to bow out. You got other things to do. Raise them high. So you're telling me everybody in this room will make 4 phone calls a year to people that they already know to generate this business? Okay, so then all we have to do is figure out what are the rest of the pieces of this and then go hit this thing and we're good to go? Really? Okay. All right.
So Josh, can I ask one thing?
Yep.
I remember you saying, in the past that your business has gone up every single year. So even in 2008, 2009, 2010,
Yeah.
2011. That's the thing that I think is so impressive about this system is that we talk so much about in real estate how it's all market driven and just depending on what's going on in the market. But what about the market? It's hard in this market. I mean, that's just really, as real estate people, they
Yeah.
tend to build their success around.
Did you get your butt handed to you in 2009, 2010, 2011?
No.
Okay.
08 was a
08?
tough year. We had
Yeah.
one bad year in 08, and then
Okay.
we picked right up.
Picked
in
right up.
09. Yeah.
So the good news about what Emily is saying is that your HaveMet database is market proof. Okay, what that means is it doesn't care if the market's here or if the market's here. Have you ever heard the term, it's the market of the moment? Right? So the market is whatever it is. The interesting thing is in 2008, everybody was trying to get into the REO world, right? And I remember going with Charlotte to my first and only REO Mac. Hopefully I said that right, because apparently there's a right way to say it. Real Mac. Yeah, like I was saying it wrong and I was like the outsider. And I just like, this is no lie, you guys. This is when like basically half of all sales in the US were some sort of distressed sale property, right? And there was super good amounts of money in the REO thing. And I remember being in Palm Springs with Charlotte, who I love dearly. She's like a second mom to me. She's in your office. If you don't know Charlotte Thomas, she is in this office. Her daughter LaDawn is hanging out in the back door. Anyway, so I went out there with her, and I remember like on a break going to the restroom, and men's restrooms, we have urinals, and I'm like, this urinal, the guy next to me is handing his card while he's peeing to the guy next to him who's peeing, who's like an asset manager, and he's like, hey man, you gotta give me a call. I'm like, dude, oh my God, I couldn't believe that you were trying to like get business in the bathroom while he's peeing. This is sick, And then I came home, and this isn't Charlotte, by the way. She's been doing this since before I was born, probably. I don't know. But she's been doing it a long time. But then, I remember seeing this article, I think it was either in USA Today or Washington Post, after that same event. And unbeknownst to me, there were a bunch of like bikini-clad women with like RAO rules on their, butts and things like that. It was like this very sort of sleazy-ish image of real estate agents working with banks to sell properties and make a lot of money. That was it, man. I was like, I'm out. It's not for me. And it really wasn't for me. I was just like, I'm not going to do this. There are a lot more reasons than just that. But I was like, that is not my jam, What's my jam? Well, my database. Okay, well, look, man, in this market, why don't you just focus on just continuing to grow your database, and feed it and water it and communicate it. Don't weed it. Do not weed your database. Clear? All right, good. So that's all I had to do. And sure enough, year after year after year, in the worst market known to mankind, blah, 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 my business continued to grow. That was my one thing, was the 8x8 and 33 touch. In the MREA book, they say your business is your what? Database. Your business is your database. The bigger your database is, the bigger your what is. I made the connection, right? I was like, oh, so what you're saying is if I just grow my database, then my business is going to grow? I'm like, great. Then I only need to focus on growing my database. All of the other stuff is now just a distraction to me. I just got to figure out how am I going to add people to my database, right? So let's talk about that. The 8x8 is for marketing to people that you have met. I want to try to define in this room what a have met is, because what I've learned is sometimes people just put people on an 8x8 or 33 touch and they actually have never met them. They were just like an internet lead. What is a have met? Can somebody kind of define that for me? A have met.
Is it somebody that you talk to that is actually giving you permission to talk with them about business or just to keep in touch with them?
You are 100% correct. And by the way, you didn't say you had to meet them in person. You just said, it's somebody that I've talked to. That's right. That's 100% correct. Most of the database that I built, came from people I had not met. Now, I was out meeting other people at the same time, but I was lead generating for people I hadn't met. And then once I meet them over the phone, I got permission to stay in touch with them. Then they go into an 8x8 and 33 touch. You guys.
I was just going to add, I define it as someone I would feel comfortable making that commitment to calling them 4 times a year. If I have that type of relationship where I comfortably execute that 36 touch, then I consider them
That for most of you guys, that'll be nobody. You'll be like, no, I don't want to call them. You'll see their name pop up and be like, oh, I don't want to call them. It's your aunt. Just call her. It's like, it's not a big deal. I mean, there are very few people that I wouldn't want to call. It's funny because what I remember, let's pull up that number here. 8,236, was that it there? Take 8,236 and divide that by 6 for me.
Hold on, I get it wrong.
That's okay.
Divided by 6?
Yeah.
1372.7.
Okay, so $1,372. Each person in your database, given the equation that we just had up there, is worth that amount to you. Now my question to you is, when you see their name pop up, are you willing to delete that from your yearly income? Because if you're cool with that, and you're good with it, and you don't want to make the call, then just erase that from your business checkbook. Because that's what you're doing. You're saying, that phone call is not worth 1,372. So actually, let's just divide that by 4. So take 1,372 divided by 4 so we know how much per call this is.
$343.
So for those of you who now volunteered to be on my team, so I can make a lot of money off of your sphere of influence, you're now being held to this. So for every call you decide not to make, that's $343 I get to keep. How does that feel? Or maybe the other way of looking at it is, every time I make that call, it's worth $343. Have you ever thought about that, you guys? Like how much one phone call is worth to your HaveMet database? One phone call is worth $343. How long does that phone call take you? If it's about business and you're not talking about, stuff, right? 3 minutes maybe, 3 to 5 minutes, right? Scripts are important, for sure. You want to use scripts so you don't get off track. But $343 every time that you call them seems like an inordinate. You guys are way overpaid. Do you understand this? If you did understand this, you would be teaching this class, not me. But you guys are way overpaid. $343 a phone call. Go ahead.
Are those phone calls, Josh, are those actual contacts, or is that even a voicemail included, or how does that work?
It's a great question. When I started out, they were actual contacts, right? You know, now because the database is so big, we can't expect to get through, although I'm trying to solve for this, because I told you what happened to my ratios. Like, they've gone way, way, way down. And so we're now trying to figure out what do we do differently to make sure that we can contact every one of them 4 times a year. I'll probably end up bringing somebody in full-time who all they do is just my database, and that's it, right? So that's a great question. When I first started doing this, it was a contact, not a message. I didn't even leave voicemail
So, that's
messages.
what was my next question.
Yeah, I didn't even leave
So
voicemails.
you just carry them over into the next day? How did you do that?
Yeah, good question. Does anybody know the story of how I first started running this thing called 8x8 33 Touch? Nobody here does, huh? So,
I know you worked with Tony DeSilva, right?
yeah. So let's, not then, not at that point in my career. So let's talk about like what I was doing, because I'm going to answer that question here in a minute, right? So we know an 8x8 means how many touches in how many weeks? 8 touches in 8 weeks, right? And who do we put into that 8x8 system? Have-mets, right? So if I'm, lead generating on a telephone, get permission to stay in touch, does anybody in here circle prospect? Circle prospect, right? Favorite script, when you get somebody on the phone for a little bit, is just that, something similar to, well, great talking with you, appreciate you thinking about it, I'll call you back after we sold the property. By the way, I've got a few of your neighbors that we're sending our market updates to. Now, I don't mind doing that for you if you'd like. I can get you on that list. And they usually will say, what? Yeah, absolutely, want the market update, because I don't mind, and I already have neighbors that are doing it, right? So, and that allows us to collect the rest of the information, right? Now we put them into an 8x8. It's 8 touches in 8 weeks. Now, it's 8 touches in 8 weeks. How many touches, how many weeks? 8. You have no idea how many of you guys are going to screw this up. Because you're going to be like 6 touches in 8 weeks, 8 touches in 10 weeks, 6 touches, forgot their name, I don't even know who they are anymore, Oh God, they were on 2 years ago. Oh, they never finished. Whatever. 8 touches, 8 weeks, that's what you need to know. Now, this system, in order for the system to work, it needs to be prospecting-based, marketing enhanced. Does the word prospecting bring positive images into your mind? Floral, sunny pictures, drinks on the beach. Is that what you think of when I say prospecting? Yeah? Okay, I think so.
Do it on the beach.
Can do it. The prospecting means that you guys are going to have to make that $343 phone call. Okay? Now, in our 8x8 system, and by the way, I brought a book and we can pass it around if you want, we can pass it around now, because I'm going to share with you what we do send out on our 8x8 and our 33 touch plan. It's not overly complicated. 2 of those touches are going to be phone calls. Everybody we meet goes into an 8x8. At the end of the 8x8, they go into a 33 touch, now 36 touch, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But what I just said is everybody goes into that system. Half the time I've sold somebody a house before they finished an 8x8. Seriously. But it's a system. It just means I do the same thing no matter what. I listed your house, I just met you, that was my first appointment with you, and I just met you. I'm obviously have permission to stay in touch now, right? We've got a contract together, okay? You're going on to the 8x8. And then you're going to go into a 33 touch. And we just rinse and repeat. It's the same thing over and over and over and over again. So I don't have to think about it, right? I just want it to operate like a system. I meet you, you go in there. I meet you, you go in there. I only have to make 2 calls in that 8-week period. Now, if they're an active client or if there's somebody that are hotter, do you think I'm going to wait and only make 2 calls in 8 weeks? No, that's human intelligence. The good news is you guys have that. You graduated real estate school. So I know for a fact if somebody's a hotter lead, you're not going to wait a whole month to call them. It's fine. Call them 10 times. I don't care. What I do care about is that they're in the system, that they get 8 touches in how many weeks. Just remember that, because you guys will forget. Because you're not going to do this unless you create a system of it. So I don't think about people any differently. I'm either going to work with you or I'm not going to work with you, and ultimately you're a number to me, and here's the number you are to me. This is the number. I know that sounds callous, but I had to play that game with myself to commit to running it like a system. You're just a number. For every person I add to my database, that's $1,372 that I'm going to make. So I'm just like, how many freaking people can I meet this week? Because I'm looking for a pay raise. Can I meet 10? That would be what, $13,720 for that week? It'll take 12 to 18 months for that to show up. But are you cool making that kind of money? Definitely. So what is an invite? It's for people that we just met on the telephone, at an open house, circle prospecting, whatever it is, we've met them, we now have permission to stay in touch, they go into an 8x8. What do I do for an 8x8? I'm sending it around right now, it's nothing special. We send them a year at a glance magnet. We send them, like, we do a monthly newsletter, so we do 2 monthly newsletters, 2 phone calls, and I think a couple of postcards. But it's nothing special. The one thing I can tell you about the market is that if all you do is send out emails, you're not going to have the same type of conversion rates that I have. So you got to be aware of that, because if you're an emailer only, it really just means that you're a passive real estate agent and you won't succeed. So it's not going to work. Email only will not work. You need to get something out there that's palatable. You can pass it around. Can I take a picture of that? Yeah, you can take a picture of that. You need to get something that's like tactile, that you can touch it. And I don't even actually care what it is. I only care that it has your brand on it and that it's RESPA compliant, because, oh my God, I just went and sat. I am going to be written up in the division newsletter. I'm just going to give you that heads up right now. Next month, you're going to see my name in that newsletter, because we had like 4 websites 2 years ago that didn't say KW Salt Lake City Keller Williams Real Estate. We had some that said Keller Williams Salt Lake City. We had some that said Keller Williams, but we had some that, you know, were missing the rest of it. And they had already given me a warning, you know, before. I've been warned in 2013 about this, right? But when you have as many freaking landing pages and you hire other people that are supposed to do this, right? Like, it's just a mess. So anyway.
Glad you can join the club.
Yeah, I'm in the club now. It took me 14 years to get there, but it's good to see all my friends. You know, I was there, so no excuses. But what I'm saying is, when you send something out, it just needs to have your look and your brand. I don't care if it's blank. In fact, try sending out stuff that's blank, because then when you follow with phone calls, you're going to get a better reaction. You know? Just wondered if you had any questions about the mailers we sent out. Yeah, dude, there was like, it's blank. Well, I just wanted to leave it open, you know. Just ask questions, stop nonsense, you know?
Open book.
But as long as it has your look, that's important, right? Because you guys, in